To the next topic. This is one's going to make Sky be incredibly smarmy and gleeful and smiley and all up himself.
So normal then, yeah?
So very normal, yes, incredibly. There is no change to his demeanour.
I'm waiting.
Buffalo got absolutely burnt in Miami. Absolutely burnt. They were terrible. I mean, it was 30-13 in the end, Miami, and the 13 was stat padding. It was a congratulatory. You got hit. You made it into the stadium because they got killed by Miami in a shocking defeat for Buffalo, which now puts your New England Patriots guy firmly at the top of the AFC East, 8-2, with Bills at 6-3, still in the race for a wild card spot at the moment. I'm just very, very puzzled by this team, Scott. I know for you, you're very happy that they're losing. It's looking like you guys are maybe going to win the division now. I mean, May's playing at an unreal level. But this Buffalo team isn't playing that bad either. 7th best offense, 9th best defense. Josh Allen last week we're talking about he's on an MVP level. I mean, what's going wrong here for Buffalo? It's not just this game. I think that's what we need to. It's not just this game. They've also lost to Atlanta, lost to the Patriots. They've had some sketchy moments throughout this season as well. What's going wrong there?
I just have to start by saying, because I said it to Shane, our good friend from the Irish NFL show, he picked Josh Allen as well. I said he wasn't the MVP, and then he went and dropped a stinker against one of the worst teams in the league. I bloody said it. It's either Drake May or Matthew Stafford, and I think that is or Jonathan Taylor, but we won't go.
Yeah, I was going to say it shouldn't be either.
Yeah,
it should be Taylor.
We know it should be Taylor, but quarterback-wise. So, yeah, thanks, Josh Allen. Clearly, he'd listened to me shitting on him, and he was like, I can't sleep, even though Haley Steinfeld's next to him. He thought, oh, my God, Sky Lawrence Pank, he's in my head. And he's absolutely done him. I mean, I think the thing for me is that, like, the Bills at this point of the season, well, in the last few years, the defense between almost like week 6 and 14 gets really strong, and then they get an injury around the playoffs. But their defense has just sort of like gone nowhere. What Achane was doing to them was like, he was having his way. It was weird. Josh Allen has a bit of a, I'm a massive fan of him. And at times he is the best quarterback in the league, but he has almost a bit of like a Superman complex, like with that fumble, almost tries to do too much. I know Kincaid went out and he's grown a bit more, but there still seems to be a bit of lack of rapport with Keon Coleman. I know he got a touchdown, but still, I just don't know how confident he is in his weapons. And I just think defensively, the unit is not as strong as it has been in the years gone by. Just, I don't even mean stats wise. I just mean looking at it, the teams that you said that have beaten them, you wouldn't have got that in other years gone by because they would just cakewalk them.
Well, you also look at it, and it is a little bit of, well, who they actually played, because they only beat the Ravens by a point in the opening game. Now it's the opening game. I always discount the opening game. It's the opening game. We never know. Like, that can just be a crazy week. One's always mental. They beat the Jets, obvious. They beat the Dolphins, obvious. They beat the Saints, obvious. They beat the Panthers, obvious. You beat the Chiefs, which they've beat consistently, the Chiefs, in the regular season. We know they can beat the Chiefs in the regular season. It's the postseason they can never beat the Chiefs. And if they get to the postseason again, that question will be asked again. Can they overcome the Chiefs? Because that has become a narrative, much as Lamar not doing great in the playoffs and other narratives as such. But Adam, like, we know what we get with this Buffalo Bills team. There's a lot of Josh Allen. It's a lot of James Cook. And their defense, Sky was right. Devon Achane absolutely killed them. They're 31st in rushing touchdowns. They're 31st in rushing yards per average. They're 28th in rushing yards. However, on the back end, they're only 9th best defense because they're 3rd in passing yards. They're joint 3rd in passing touchdowns. They only conceded 9. So their secondary has been pretty solid this season. But rushing, anyone can run on them as it seems. And I'm sorry, to be a good playoff team, you need more than just the brilliant quarterback.
Yeah, I was going to say the problem is they can't stop the run. It's been the problem that they've had all season. And the thing is, it's all well and good saying that their secondary has been decent and they've got very good stats. But the thing is in reality, when you actually think about it, no one's throwing against them because they can just beat them through the ground. So they're not seeing as much action as what a normal team would, who would be able to stop the run. It is strange when you look at it, that it does feel very much like, I don't know, it's a really weird one, because very early on there was a lot of us going, they were 4-0, weren't they? And it was a little bit like, who's going to stop them? You know, they were flying at the time, but they did have the problem against the run, and it has kind of come and bit them quite a few times now. And yeah, you cannot be a Super Bowl winning team and be so bad in one specific area like that, and so that they're not gonna get anywhere because of that. As you say, when you actually look at who they have beaten, there isn't a great deal there other than the Chiefs. And, you know, a lot of us are coming out and saying, well, the Chiefs are not as good as what they used to be as well. So it's not amazing. They have got a much harder schedule for the next few weeks, which is going to be an issue for them. And I think I had a quick look, because as you know, I love to throw out a plug for free bets. And I did an article for them where it's the news one, and my one was on the Bills and this week. And it was a little bit like, the bet was, I was looking at their regular season wins. It's at 11.5 is what the over under is. And I went under, because, you know, I looked at it and I sort of thought, well, they only need to lose 3 games here. And it is a tough schedule, and it's going to be difficult, or it's not going to be difficult for them to lose 3 games for the rest of this season. And I just don't quite know. I feel like the run defense is appalling. The pass defense, okay, it looks good statistically, but in reality, how much action is it actually seeing? Yes, Josh Allen is. I look, he had a bad game. I think that's what it boils down to. He had a bad game, but most games he does really well and he looks great. The run game with James Cook looks decent. There's a lack of pass catching options of quality. I think Dalton Kincaid is okay, but he's not like, you know, he's not a Trey McBride. He's not a Brock Bowers, but he looks all right. I
Well,
don't really think any of the wide receivers are brilliant, to be brutally honest.
This is my point a little bit with, you say just offense, and we're talking about defense as well. Really, what the big question is, really, is this team good enough to win the Super Bowl? And what you're telling me right
No.
now is, no, not with the talent now. When we talk about the Lions, the Eagles, the Chiefs, these rosters, Rams, Seahawks, these rosters have they have 2 guys, 3 guys in every single position. And you've just named the best players: Josh Allen, James Cook, Ed Oliver. That's it. That's it. The rest of these teams have superstars. The rest of these teams, you talk about the Eagles, you can list 6 guys, 10 guys maybe, actually, who are an elite, great level, where you go, they're probably like top 10 in the league. Same with the Chiefs, same with the Seahawks, same with the Rams. They've got depth all over the place. And, you know, they are put in the conversation every start of the season, Adam, aren't they? That they are a Super Bowl team. Not by my mark, when you're talking about the other teams that are in there.
I mean, I had them down to get to the Super Bowl this year from the AFC side. I felt like they would progress, and it started off as though that's what had happened, and that it kind of all made sense. But it just kind of feels like I say, that they're so weak against the run. You just cannot get there if that's the problem. And I don't even really feel like they've had a massive injuries. Maybe I'm wrong and I haven't seen it, but to me, it doesn't feel like they've had a ton of injuries. And I just don't see where it changes. And like I say, this schedule that they've got coming up over these next few weeks, it's not easy. You know, you're going up against some decent defenses here. That, you know, they've got the Buccaneers, who maybe not the greatest defense, but a solid one. The Texans, very good defense. Steelers defense is not what it was, but it still comes and you know, it still has good playmakers on it. Patriots obviously are doing well at the moment. They're going to have to go up against the Eagles. You know, that's 4 teams there.
The Browns as well, to be honest with you. If you talk
Yeah,
about
Browns
defense-wise.
defense. It's just I think they'll overpower them like offensively. But yeah, I mean that's 4 teams or 5 teams if you want to include the Steelers as well, where you sort of think to yourself, they're going to be tough games to win. And when you're like, you know, I had a look, and the last 5 years, the worst record they've had is 11-6. I genuinely think they could not hit 11 this year. I think they could be looking at 10 or even worse.
I've just been smirking. Sorry.
Well, no, that was going to be my point next, guy, really, is compared to your schedule, that looks very easy.
The easiest schedule that ever existed in the NFL. Yeah.
Well, you are in slot position now to win this division. And then when you look at who's competing for the wildcard spots at the minute, you've got the Ravens. I mean, the Steelers are top at the minute, but that could easily flip and fly. Same with Ravens there. You've got the Jags, you've got the Chargers, you've got the Chiefs. They're all trying to get top spots or at least wildcard spots. You know, in comparison to them, to the Bills, you know, do you believe some of these teams are better? And then the case comes if they don't get the playoffs, or even if they do and they're one and done it, is that Sean McDermott, the head coach, done?
If they were one and done, yeah, I think so. I know that's mad to say, but potentially, because the window is always open when you have a guy like Josh Allen, but on a year where Lamar's been hurt, Burrow's been hurt again, like we were saying, the Chiefs, people say they're not as good as they were. This is the year where the Bills should have sort of taken things, you know, within their grasp. The only thing I probably would say is, and everyone has their own narratives of what will happen in sport, but maybe having a bit of mid-season adversity is good if they can find a way to overcome it, as opposed to just, you know, cakewalk in the division, stroll into the playoffs, a bit of overconfidence. You know, maybe losing to Miami is what they need. Sometimes it doesn't always need to be a loss, but the same with the Patriots only beating the Falcons by a point. Then you play Tampa. People say it's easy. Tampa, a good side. Now we beat them. And now suddenly everyone sort of takes note. The Bills do have an opportunity to go still on a run because they have Josh Allen. I know we've said they have a lot of tough opponents, but it only takes for my Patriots to drop one game. And then if the Bills beat us, we split the series at 1-1 and they're back in the hunt. So, but yeah, to answer your question, I do think that while no one will be talking about it now, if the Bills were one and done in the playoffs, I think there would be a serious question mark of like, well, Josh Allen's not the issue. So what do we do? Would be crazy though, wouldn't it, to think about that? But you don't want him to be a quarterback where you're wasting his prime years. And I think we're in that era now, especially when I'm not just saying it for the sake of saying it, because even Justin Herbert and Bo Nix are in that category. But when Drake May has now emerged as a top elite quarterback, you've got people like Lamar Jackson, Burrow, and Allen thinking, oh, crap, you know, am I ever going to get to a Super Bowl? And we've had those conversations before on the podcast. You know, these guys could fall into that category. Josh Allen could be maybe even Aaron Rodgers 2.0, but without a ring. Who knows?
No, you're not wrong. I think when you look around the AFC and the quarterbacks that are coming in, you know, you do start to scratch your head and go, well, will they ever? You know, I know that they are definitely not on the back 9 at all. They are definitely in the prime of their career, that sort of bracket of quarterback. You know, Burrow, Mahomes, Allen, Lamar. But yeah, you got Bo Nix, you got Drake May coming up. There's going to be ample opportunity. I know it's the Jets, but the Jets and Dolphins could look at quarterback. I mean, other AFC teams, CJ Stroud, still young and in his prime. Trevor Lawrence still might have a resurgence. I mean, you got that. We don't know what will happen to all these teams, do we? Really, we don't know what next quarterback might come in and be sort of the next phase of it. And you do start to scratch your head when when the Chiefs have been dominant for so long. This is the problem when you have an AFC Patriots who have been dominant for so long, and then you get the Chiefs who are dominant for so long. Suddenly you go, well, actually, they never really got there, or when they did get there, they didn't really stake their opportunity and win it all. I mean, Burrow has been there, but he lost. Herbert's never been there. Lamar's never been there. Josh Allen's never been there. And these are all guys who we feel like will retire in their careers with at least one ring, maybe even 2. But every year, I think we've gone from Dayball, who's getting kicked out the door after a load of years and it's mid-season, to McDermott, who's taken them to 2 AFC championships, has consistently had winning seasons, but just can't seem to get them over the line, Adam. Like, do you think there is a danger?
I think there is. I think come the end of the season, if it doesn't happen again, you know, you end up in that sort of position where it's like, well, is this guy ever going to get us over the line? It does feel a little bit like that. Like you say, it's not going to be Josh Allen that's going to take the blame, is it? So it's that thing where it's almost like, what do you do? I could see them coming at it from a point of view that maybe a fresh approach might do something different and get them over the line. I don't think McDermott's a bad coach. I think he's done pretty well for the Bills over the years, and you know, he's part of the reason that Josh Allen has become the player that he is, kind of thing. So you know, you can't sort of just go, oh, it was all Brian Daboll in Buffalo at the time. You know, I'm sure that McDermott was part of it as well. So yeah, I mean, I think that he's probably it's difficult, and he probably deserves time, and he deserves to be able to turn the things around, because realistically, this is probably the first year that you would argue that things have gone slightly awry. But I think that they might look at it and go, this is a guy who's been here for a really, really long time. It's not working. It hasn't worked at the moment. It feels like we're getting further away than getting closer. And we need to move on and make a change.
Well, here's to next Monday morning, all of us going how much we overreacted to the Bills losing one game. But I think it's a conversation that has to be had. There's going to be a conversation in the building when it comes to them sort of games.